Okay, I'm going to explain a problem about polyurethane bushes. So one of the biggest problem is you see this collar, metal tube collar inside here. This is completely flush with this surface here, and this one is a little bit inside. So what will happen is when you install it to your subframe, and when you tighten the camber bolt, the subframe will start squeezing on this surface over here, so causing binding and squeaking, because it will stop the bush from turning, and the arm will start to move around the bush, causing squeaking. Okay, so there's one way to solve this problem is to put shim in here. So the shim size is very important. You cannot use a shim that is bigger than this tube diameter, because if you use something bigger, it will move around and it will block the surface of the bushing, poly bushing over here, and cause rubbing and binding. So you need to get something smaller. So in this case, this collar is 22.2 mm, and okay, the collar is 22.2. all right, and earlier I got these shims which are OD is 21.9, okay, and the ID is 17.3. So what happens is when you tighten it, because this is 16mm, 15.9, it starts to move around like this, and part of the collar will start to interfere with the bushing over here because it moves around like that. So you need to get a shim that is 16 by 20 by 1. So the outer diameter is 20 and the inside is 16.2. So even if you move around, it will not exceed the diameter of the tube of 22.2. It will stay within this diameter. Okay, so now I'm going to put one on each side and see one here and one here, and put in the screw and tighten it and see if it binds, because it really binds with the slightly bigger collar, because it's touching the bushing. So it doesn't bind, and I can use this one washer over here and one over here, and it won't bind. Okay, here's the assembly, and I'm going to do a test now. So you can see there's a little bit of gap over there on this side and this side, right? That's caused by the shim, 1mm shim on each side, and I tighten this, right? And after I tighten it, I'm going to start to move with this tool over here, and there is some resistance. That's normal. There's resistance between the collar and the PU, and it's already greased, right? But it's moving smoothly all around without catching on any one place. And important thing, this nut is not loosening. It's not a lock nut. Earlier when I used the wrong shims, what happened was this nut was loosening because there's binding, causing it to jam up. So this nut loosened, and now it's not loosening anymore. So that's how I know it's okay. So I'm going to lightly epoxy these two washers in over here and test the rest of these bushings. Alright, and then I can install. There should be no squeaks of this. To this job, I'm going to change the lower arm over. This is a spare arm I have, so I've already pre-fitted it with Super Pro polyurethane bushings, and I prepared the shaft to make sure it's a little bit longer than the bushing. Right, so this is already done, greased up. The problem is actually I cannot get a proper alignment. But I can get a good toe in, good camber, but I cannot get a good caster. I'll show you why. Right, so on the mk3 Supra and soarer, Z20 soarer, they use these cam bolts and cam tabs over here, as you can see. And the problem is these tabs are weak. If the alignment tag forces the nut to turn, it will bend these tabs. Right, so this, as you can see from this front side with the 22 mm nut over here, it's not so bad, but it's also unacceptable. This is a 0.85 feeler gauge. Okay, it can hardly go in, but there's a gap here. This is wrong, and here also same. Here's not so bad also, but still there's a gap. but you can see the side of the 24 mm side, right? This is really bad. Let me on the lights. Alright, now you can see from underneath, you see how much is bent, right? See the gap over there? It's supposed, the sides of the cams are supposed to touch these tabs within all the range of adjustments, alright? So today what I'm going to do is, since I'm changing the lower arm, I'm going to remove the arm and bend these tabs back, alright? And I'm going to ascend this surface over here, because I'm going to weld a little square bar over here, a short square bar, to reinforce this tab so that it will not bend anymore. So the idea is to remove this arm, leave the ball joint in, remove these 3 bolts here, slide the arm this way out, alright, and then replace the new arm. And before replacing the new arm, I'm going to bend all these tabs back to the correct one. So you can see here, this is okay, this is touching, but this side is open up, and this side is the worst. Alright, so I'm going to fix all of these tabs. Okay, I've removed the anti-roll bar link, the shock absorber bolt. I loosened the, remove the nut, right, front and the rear. So remember that leverage is your friend. Use pipe extensions, alright, I have lots of these. And another shorter one so that I can, because sometimes there's no space, you need to just extend them. And another one here, this is actually for my differential flange holder, but I can use that to hold the L extension, right? So I managed to loosen all that. So now I'm going to lightly tap this out, and then slide the arm down here and slide it this way, alright? Just to get the rear bolt off. So now I'm having difficulty taking out the front one. So I'm going to, if I just remove just like that, it will drop. So I'm going to support the arm somewhere here, alright? And then I'll try to wiggle this loose. What I finally did was I put back this bolt without the nut. I just slot it in just to support the back, and then I knock this out with the screwdriver, knock the end here, and it's out now. Alright, so I'm now going to slowly remove this and slide this down, remove all these 3 nuts, and then I can slide the arm this way out. This is just for backup as safety. Okay, I've tied this knuckle just as safety so that it won't strain this brake line. Right, so this is holding it as a second layer defense. And so you can see that the ball joint is here and the arm is out. And you can see how bad the arm bushings are. Definitely sagged, and they are cracking up. You see that? So it's definitely time to change, and it's completely canted to one side. So now I'm going to measure this end and that end, compare it against the new arm. Okay, I've cut this 5x5mm square bar. It's not completely flat at the edges, never mind, as long as you don't have any sharp edges poking out from the sides. You need to grind the sides properly. The reason is because you want it to sit completely flush over here. Alright, so the plan is going to clean up the surface and then go for welding. So I can put this bar over here, I can weld underneath and above and front and back to strengthen this tab. And you can use this square bar to check how good this 90-degree surface is. So you can see here it's quite good, this one and this one after bending. Alright, you can see that it's quite good. So for this side, this bar is bending out a little bit, so that's why I'm using this clamp to clamp it in. And as you can see from here, it's touching now, both sides are touching. Even on the other side, I don't have to show you that one. I'm going to show you how when I turn this, right, you can see the range of adjustment. So look at this, it's almost to the maximum. This is for caster, so almost to the maximum outside, and I'm going to turn it, alright, and you can see it's moving and it's going to the maximum. This is very good, so it's enough. And I'm going to do it again, and it's not bending the tabs, but I'm still going to strengthen the tabs, right? So you can see over here, It's almost to the maximum. I think this is good enough. The other side is also okay, same like this. So yeah, I'm gonna call it quits. This is done. I'm gonna put the arm on now. Okay, my whole plans basically went to hell. What happened was the shims that I stuck to the tube came off. They couldn't go in because the space is too tight. So I removed the shims, and once I put it inside, I only managed to sneak in a 0.5 mm shim. You can see one side there's gap, this side has no gap. It's okay, don't worry, it will find its way once the car moves. Okay, so I use a thin sheet, 16 by 20 by 1, no, not 1, 0.5. This one, yeah. I just slot in one shim from the bottom, get it inside, and then put it in bolt. So on both sides, this is also same. This is the caster side. You can see this side has a tiny, let me zoom in. This side has the gap. Alright, and this side has no gap. Alright, so now I'm going to put this in the middle. I have put some NTCs on the back and on the side. Don't get it on the thread, alright, of the cam bolt. And I'm going to tighten this in the middle and put back the shock absorber and T-roba links and tighten this bottom ball joint holes, right? Tighten all those holes, ball joint, and there, that's it. One side is done. So I'm just going to repeat procedure on the other side. Leave it in the middle and then go for welding to weld the bars over here. So prepare 18 mm bars. You need 16 pieces because here's 8 places you need to weld. So 8 times 2 to the other side, 16. Then once I get that welded, I can go for alignment. Alright. One note of importance is this hole. It's one way. Okay, that means you can only put the bolt in one way. This hole here is a little bit bigger than this hole here, so you can see this flat spot on the camber bolt. If you try to put in this end to this end, it won't go in because this is smaller than this. Okay, and one very important note is when you put in this bolt, you must make sure that the bolt is able to move from end to end. Okay, if it cannot move, then you have to file this area. I had to file this area actually. I file it until it can move end to end. Okay, then you can do a proper adjustment. Important note is when you put the shim in here, you have to really make sure that a part of the shim is at the back of the slot. It cannot come out from the slot. If it comes out from the slot, then and going into this area here, it's not doing its function properly. Okay, so this, as you can see, this shim, it's sitting ahead of the inner tube on the bushing, and it's behind the slot. So we need to space the tube to the subframe, right? Subframe slot like this. If it doesn't go in like this, make sure it does. Otherwise, there's no function at all for the spacer, the shim. Okay, I got everything settled, and now I'm going to paint. Got the square bar welded. It's not a pretty sight, but it works. So I covered this cam bolt because I'm going to paint over it, spray paint away. And as you can see here, this is uncovered bolt. Alright, so after I'm just going to do some masking and paint over all these areas, then I can go for alignment.